The humiliation. I never imagined my daughter's wedding would be the day I learned how fragile a man's dignity truly was. For months, I had circled this date in my mind like a lighthouse turning toward a familiar shore. January 18th. The day my only daughter, Avery, would become a wife. The day I would finally see the years of sacrifice, the double shifts, the skipped dinners, the worn-out shoes, the toothaches I ignored because she needed new textbooks pay off, and a smile, a hug, a whispered, "Thank you, Dad." But life doesn't warn you when it's about to turn cruel. It was a cold morning in Briar Lane, the kind of cold that felt like grief hiding in the wind. Frost clung to the corners of every car window, and the sun was fighting hard just to exist. I stood outside the Verona Garden Hall wearing a charcoal suit I bought secondhand from a retired banker. It was neatly pressed, though the left sleeve had a thread I'd cut 3 times but never fully removed. I checked my reflection in my car window, hair combed, shoes polished, tie straight. I was nervous, excited, proud. This was the moment fathers imagine their whole lives. When I pushed open the hall doors, warm lights spilled out. White roses lined the aisle. A live quartet played a soft melody, preparing for rehearsal. But something was wrong. People weren't just surprised to see me. They were staring. Whispers scattered like insects across the room. "That's him. He actually came? Didn't they tell him?" "Tell me what?" I brushed it off, forcing a polite smile. "Morning," I said to no one in particular. Only one person responded, a child about 8, who accidentally waved because he thought I smiled at him. His mother quickly pulled his hand down and stepped away, avoiding eye contact. My heart tightened. I walked toward the groom's family, hoping to greet them. They turned instantly, like a flock of birds sensing a predator. "Hi, we know who you are," the groom's aunt said, her voice stiff as chilled steel. Before I could ask what that meant, I heard heels clicking quickly across the floor. My ex-wife. Dana. The woman who left our home 12 years ago, leaving me with a 5-year-old daughter and a mortgage payment that nearly drowned me. She looked elegant, hair pinned high, wearing a pale gold dress as if she were the mother of the bride, not the stranger who mathematically contributed to her creation. She gave me a thin smile. "You shouldn't be here." I blinked. "Excuse me?" "You heard me, Jonathan." Her voice was cold, almost rehearsed. "You shouldn't be here. Avery doesn't need complications today." "Complications?" I raised Avery by myself. I packed her lunches, taught her to bike, sat through every school play, held her through every heartbreak. "Complications? What kind of?" A loud metallic snap cut my words in half. Something above us released. Everyone looked up. A massive white banner dropped from the ceiling, unrolling in the air before slapping hard against the floor-to-ceiling decorative frame. Time froze. My heart cracked open. On the banner was my photo. A cropped, unflattering picture of me exiting the old factory I used to work in, taken the week I got laid off during the recession. My face was tired, my clothes dirty from overtime work. Underneath my photo were the words, printed in harsh, brutal red. "This man is not welcome here." Then smaller text. "He abandoned his family. He is banned from Avery's wedding." Gasps. Hands covering mouths. Someone whispered, "Dear Lord." The room spun. My knees felt weak. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I looked at my ex-wife. She didn't flinch. She didn't deny it. She didn't even look sorry. She folded her arms. "Now you know." "Dana," I said, my voice breaking. "What did you do?" "I told the truth," she said. "You left us. You ruined everything. You don't get to play father today." "I never left," I whispered. "You walked out. You abandoned Avery, not me." She smirked, leaning in slightly. "But you have no proof. It's your word against mine. And today, everyone believes me." Because she had shown up to dress rehearsals. Because she charmed the groom's family. Because she had money now, a big house, a fiancé in real estate. Because she looked like stability, and I looked like the tired man who survived a lifetime alone. All at once I realized. This humiliation wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. And then, the bridal doors at the back opened. Avery appeared. My daughter. My heart. Wearing a simple robe, hair half-styled, bouquet in hand. Her eyes were wide with disbelief and pain. "Dad?" she whispered, stepping forward. I straightened up, waiting for her to defend me, to tear the banner down, to stop this nightmare. But she froze. Her hands trembled. Her lips quivered like she wasn't sure what the truth was anymore. "Avery," I said softly. Tell them I never abandoned you." I don't know, Dad." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't know what to think anymore." Those words burned through me. 12 years of raising her, reduced to doubt because her mother reappeared 3 months ago with new makeup, a new house, a new narrative. "Maybe it's best," she whispered, barely audible. "If you leave, for today." She didn't touch me. Didn't hug me. Didn't ask for my side. She just looked at me like the uncertainty itself hurt her. And that hurt me more than anything. I walked out. The music stopped. The whispers grew. My footsteps echoed like a funeral march. Outside, the cold wind hit me, but not as hard as the realization. Today wasn't just my humiliation. It was the day I became a stranger in my own daughter's life. And deep in my gut, something cold began to form. Not anger. Not rage. Purpose. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. When I stepped outside the hall, the cold winter air felt gentler than the people inside. Snowflakes drifted down like tiny apologies from a sky that didn't know how to comfort me. I walked until the music became nothing but a memory tucked behind the sound of passing cars. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't turn back. Humiliation has 2 phases. The public moment, and the private collapse. The public moment had already happened. Now came the collapse. I reached my car, leaned on the hood, and let out a breath I felt I'd been holding for years. My hands shook. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. I felt something break inside me, not a loud snap, but a quiet fracture, the kind that changes the shape of a man forever. I opened the door, sat in the driver's seat, and stared at my hands. The same hands that used to braid Avery's hair. The same hands that held her steady when she took her first steps. The same hands that signed school permission forms, birthday cards, and job applications as her only parent. How did those hands become unwelcome? How did I become the villain in a story I had lived honestly? My phone buzzed. Avery. For a second, hope fluttered in my chest. Maybe she regretted it. Maybe she was coming outside to find me. But when I opened the message, hope died quickly. "Dad, I'm really sorry. But Mom says you caused her years of pain. I'm trying to keep peace today. Please understand." Peace. That was the word she used. Humiliating me publicly was keeping peace. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I finally understood that anything I said in that moment would fall into the void Dana had carved between us. I was no longer speaking to my daughter. I was speaking to my daughter's confusion. The world moves on without you. The days after the wedding felt like living underwater. Everything was slow, heavy, quiet. People talk about heartbreak like it's sharp, like it stabs or slices. But real heartbreak, the kind that comes from your own child, feels like someone turned your bones into wet cement. Every morning, I woke up hoping I'd dreamt the wedding. Every night, I went to bed knowing I hadn't. Work became my only escape. I hammered, sanded, polished, built. I cut wood until my hands blistered and bled, because pain felt simpler than emotion. My coworkers heard rumors. I knew they did, because whenever I walked into the break room, conversations suddenly shifted. People cleared their throats, looked at the floor. One man even tried to pat my shoulder, but I stepped away before he could. Pity feels like poison when you're already drowning. My sister called. John, what really happened at the wedding? I don't want to talk about it. You can't keep this inside. I'm fine. You're not. She was right, but I refused to bleed in front of anyone else. The humiliation was already circulating through the small town. I heard someone call it the banner fiasco at the grocery store. A fiasco. My life reduced to an anecdote for neighbors. Avery reaches out. But it's too late. 2 weeks later, Avery finally called instead of texting. Her voice was small. Dad, can we talk? I wanted to say no. I wanted to say I wasn't ready. But love makes fools of fathers. Yes, I replied. We met at our old diner, the one with the cracked leather booths we used to share pancake breakfasts in. The waiter recognized us, but he looked at Avery like she was a stranger now, because in a way, she was. Avery sat across from me, fingers twisting the fabric of her sleeve. She looked older than she had at the wedding, like guilt had aged her quickly. Dad, she whispered, I didn't know they planned the banner. My chest tightened. They? She swallowed. Mom and her fiancé. They told the staff to drop it when you walked in. They said they wanted to control the narrative before you embarrassed her. Narrative. That word twisted something deep in my gut. Why didn't you stop them? I asked quietly. I didn't know about the banner, she said, tears forming in her eyes. Mom told me you left her. That you abandoned us. She said you made her raise me alone. I believed her. Hearing those words felt like being punched in the lungs. And yet I stayed silent, letting her talk. I was confused, Dad. I didn't know who to believe. She made it sound so real. She cried in my arms, saying you destroyed her life. Did she tell you she left when you were 5? I asked softly. Avery froze. She told me, I continued, that she didn't want the responsibility of a child anymore. She said she felt trapped. And then she packed her bags one night and walked out. Avery stared at the table, tears falling silently. Why didn't you tell me that? I did, I said gently. Many times. But children believe the parent they fear losing. And she knew that. Avery covered her face, shoulders shaking. I'm so sorry, Dad, she sobbed. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. For the first time since the wedding, I reached out and touched her hand. I know, I said softly. But some wounds don't close just because someone apologizes. Her crying grew louder, and the diner suddenly felt too small. Dad, will you come over for dinner tonight? She asked in a desperate voice. I want to fix this. I want you in my life again. The little boy inside me wanted to say yes instantly. But the man who had been humiliated in front of her entire wedding, the man who had carried the weight of her upbringing alone, the man who had been erased by lies, that man whispered a different answer. Not yet, I said. I need time. She nodded slowly, wiping her tears, but the guilt in her eyes was unmistakable. Okay, she whispered. I'll wait. When a seed of revenge is planted. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I wasn't angry at Avery. She had been manipulated, molded, rewritten. My anger had only one target. Dana. She didn't just humiliate me. She didn't just lie. She didn't just poison my daughter's mind. She tried to erase me. And you do not erase a man who built a life from scratch. That night, as the clock hit 3:14 a.m., something inside me shifted. A clarity. A coldness. A calm that tasted like steel. I didn't want loud revenge. Not dramatic. Not childish. Not violent. No. I wanted quiet, devastating revenge. The kind that changes lives permanently. The kind that teaches lessons. The kind that makes the world finally see the truth. And for the first time since the wedding I smiled. This story wasn't over. It was just beginning. The years after, betrayals revealed. After that night, I stepped quietly out of my old life. Not in anger. Not in despair. But with a strange new clarity I had never felt before. I realized something profound. Sometimes distance isn't abandonment, it's preparation. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it's strategy. For months after the wedding, I didn't attend family gatherings, didn't visit Avery's new home, didn't return her hesitant invitations. I wasn't punishing her. I was building myself back up from the inside. Healing is slow. Revenge is patient. Clarity is priceless. The world reveals its real face. 3 months passed. Winter melted. Spring fought its way back into the sky. Avery kept reaching out, texting short messages like, "Thinking of you? Can we talk soon? Dad, I miss you." I replied politely, but never deeply. I wasn't ready. She understood, or at least tried to. But the world around us didn't stop. One afternoon in early spring, I was refueling my truck when a familiar voice called out, "Hey, Jonathan?" I turned to see Michael, the owner of the Verona Garden Hall, the same venue where I had been publicly humiliated. Or the former owner. He looked nervous approaching me, like he expected a punch instead of a handshake. "I've been meaning to apologize," he said. "For, you know." I didn't respond. I let him talk. "The banner," he continued. "Your ex-wife, she paid the staff extra to make sure it dropped at the exact moment you walked in. We argued about it. I told her it was cruel and unnecessary, but she threatened a lawsuit if I intervened. Of course she did. Dana didn't just lie, she manipulated everything like a puppeteer, pulling threads while pretending she was the victim. I'm sorry," he said again quietly. "You didn't deserve that." I finally spoke. "Why tell me now?" he exhaled. "Because she's asking for a massive discount for her own wedding next year. And I remember what she did. I don't want to help someone like that." My eyebrows lifted. "Her own wedding?" I repeated. "She's getting married?" "To her fiancé." He nodded. "The same guy from your daughter's wedding. They're planning a huge ceremony this fall." Something in my chest stirred, not jealousy, not bitterness. Opportunity. "I hope you'll forgive me," he added. I gave him a cold, polite smile. "Forgiveness isn't something I owe. But honesty is appreciated." We shook hands. But inside me, a spark had been lit. Not for him. For me. The betrayal Avery never saw coming. A week later, Avery finally asked me to meet her alone. No husband, no friends, no pressure. "Dad, I need to tell you something." She looked pale, tired, like she'd been carrying a weight for too long. We sat in a quiet park under a willow tree, the same one she used to play under as a child. Except now, instead of swinging from the branches, she twisted her wedding ring nervously. "I know it's been months," she began. "And I don't expect you to forgive me. I hurt you. I let Mom's lies guide me. I'm ashamed of myself." Her voice shook. "I should have defended you. I should have known better. All those years you were there for me, and I let you walk out like you were nothing." She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "I'm so sorry, Dad." I nodded slowly. Her apology was sincere. Painful. Needed. But what she said next shook me. "Mom is losing everything." I stilled. "Explain." "She lied, to everyone," Avery whispered. "Her fiancé found out she's deep in debt. That she forged some paperwork. That she manipulated me. He confronted her, and she turned violent." "Violent?" I repeated. "She slapped me last week," Avery whispered, voice cracking. "In front of my husband. Said I ruined her life when I went to confront her about what she did to you." A coldness slid through my spine. "She hit you?" "Yes." "She laid a hand on you?" "Yes." I leaned forward. "Avery, look at me." She lifted her tear-filled eyes. "You didn't deserve that. You've never deserved her cruelty." She broke down crying, full, ugly tears that tore open years of emotional bruises. "She's the one who abandoned us," she sobbed. "Not you. You were always there. Always." I rested a hand on her shoulder. I know. Her voice went small, the voice of the little girl I used to read bedtime stories to. Dad, I want to fix this. I want you back in my life. I want to rebuild what I broke. Please, don't give up on me. And in that moment, the man inside me, the broken, humiliated father, finally exhaled. I never gave up on you, I said gently. I was giving you space to see the truth for yourself. She nodded slowly. Then, hesitantly, she asked, Will you walk me down the aisle again? In the church ceremony we're planning for our anniversary? My heart twisted. The first wedding destroyed us. Maybe the second could heal us. Yes, I said. I will. She collapsed into my arms, and for the first time in months, the bond between us felt real again, not poisoned by lies or doubts. But even in that moment of reconciliation, something else clicked inside me. Dana wasn't just losing Avery. She wasn't just losing her relationship. She wasn't just losing her fake reputation. She was losing control. And a person like her, one who thrives on manipulation, cannot survive without control. Which meant her collapse was coming. And I would be there to witness every second of it. Not loudly. Not violently. Not with chaos. But with precision. With truth. With patience. With deliberate, crafted timing. Because revenge isn't always about hurting someone. Sometimes, it's about letting them fall exactly the way they tried to make you fall. The first shift. 2 weeks later, I received an unexpected call. From the owner of the Verona Garden Hall. Jonathan, he said, I've thought a lot about our conversation. I'm retiring. Would you be interested in buying the hall? You'd get first offer. The universe had handed me a gift. A quiet, powerful, poetic gift. Because the hall where I had been humiliated would soon belong to me. And that was where everything would begin. Everything. The woman who shouldn't have been there. Ethan stepped inside the house, the warm scent of ginger tea drifting through the air. His mother always made ginger tea for difficult conversations. But what hit him harder was the presence of the woman sitting across from her. A woman he knew. A woman he hadn't seen in 20 years. A woman whose absence was one of the biggest unanswered questions of his life. His sister. Anna. She sat upright on the couch, fingers twisted tightly, her presence both familiar and foreign. Ethan froze at the doorway, memories hitting him like fists, laughter as kids, running through the yard, her steady voice defending him against their father, and then the sudden disappearance, the silence, the unanswered questions. Anna looked up. Her eyes trembled. Hi. Ethan. His throat tightened. Anna? He almost whispered it. You're alive? Tears slipped down her cheeks. I'm so sorry I left. I'm sorry I never called. I'm sorry you had to face everything alone. He didn't know what hurt more, the fact that she left, or the way she looked at him now, grown, guilty, broken. His mother exhaled shakily. Ethan, we needed you both here today. Because what happened at the wedding isn't the real problem. It's only the explosion from years and years of things hidden. Anna nodded. Mom told me what happened. The banner. The humiliation. And how Alicia, and your father, destroyed everything. Ethan stiffened at the mention of his father's name. Anna swallowed hard. I know about the letters. I know what Dad told Alicia. I know what he planned. And Ethan, you deserve to know everything. The truth Anna carried for 20 years. The room thickened with tension. Anna clasped her hands together, breath trembling. Ethan. I didn't leave because I wanted to. I didn't run away because I didn't care. Her voice cracked. I left because Dad forced me to disappear. Ethan blinked. What? She nodded, tears streaking her face. I overheard something. Something about you. About the family. About the company. Dad found out I knew and told me, if I stayed, if I said anything, I would ruin everything. She wiped her eyes. He threatened to cut me off. To frame me. To destroy my life. I was 18, confused, scared. And he convinced me leaving was the only way to protect you. Ethan felt the room spin. Protect me from what? Anna took a breath so deep it shook her whole body. Dad hated the idea of you becoming more successful than him. He hated that you were smarter, better with people, more loved. Mom defended you. I defended you, and Dad wanted full control. He planned to make you the family villain, so when he eventually handed things to Alicia, no one would question it. Ethan felt his jaw clench. So he poisoned my daughter against me? Anna nodded. Yes. And not just with lies. With money. With promises. With threats. His mother whispered softly, almost ashamed. He told Alicia that marrying rich meant keeping you out of her life. He told her you'd embarrass her. He told her you'd destroy her marriage before it started. He told her you'd come asking for money, the same lie he used on me for years. And Alicia believed every word. Ethan leaned back, shaken. His own father. Poisoning his own granddaughter. Turning the entire family against him. Anna continued. And the banner, the one that dropped at the wedding? She sighed. That wasn't Alicia's idea. She agreed to it, but it was Dad's plan. Ethan's fists curled. Why? Why humiliate me in front of everyone? Anna hesitated. For the same reason he exiled me. Power. Control. Because he wanted the final say in your life, and Alicia's wedding was the last place he could publicly destroy you. Ethan closed his eyes, all the memories of his father's manipulation, the silent punishments, the emotional cruelty, flooding back. But Anna wasn't finished. The secret that turned the whole story on its head. Ethan, Anna whispered. There's something even worse. Something Dad hid for decades. Something Alicia doesn't know. Something even Mom was afraid to say. His mother covered her mouth, trembling. Anna, are you sure? Anna nodded. It's time. She looked straight at Ethan. You weren't the outsider of this family. Her voice softened with tragedy. You were the only one who truly belonged. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? Anna took a deep breath. Dad wasn't your biological father. The room froze. Silence swallowed everything. Ethan felt his heartbeat echo in his ears. What? Anna continued, voice breaking. You were the child Mom conceived right before she met Dad. When Dad found out years later, he swore he'd never let you take anything from his real children. He raised you out of obligation, but he resented you every day of your life. That's why he kept you small. That's why he manipulated Alicia. That's why he wanted to destroy you. His mother burst into quiet tears. I'm so sorry, Ethan. I wanted to tell you. I wanted to stop the pain, but he threatened to take Anna away, and then he did. Anna reached for his hand. He hated your potential, because you weren't his blood. And he feared the world would see you rise higher than all of us. Ethan sat there, unable to breathe. All the neglect. All the manipulation. All the emotional torment. Everything suddenly had a reason. And his daughter, Alicia, never knew she had been used as a pawn in her grandfather's revenge against a child who was never truly his. Ethan whispered. So that banner, that humiliation, that exile, was never about me being unwelcome. Anna nodded. It was about Dad making sure you never discovered the truth. Ethan's pain turning into a cold, sharp purpose. Ethan stood up slowly. His heart was breaking, yes. But something else rose inside him too. Not anger. Not rage. Resolve. I lost my daughter because of a lie, Ethan said quietly. I lost my sister because of fear. I lost my own childhood to a man who hated me. And I've paid for sins I never committed. Anna and his mother stared at him. He wiped his face dry. But it ends now. He reached for his coat. His mother called out. Where are you going? He looked back at both of them. To reclaim my daughter. To reclaim my name. And to bring down the man who spent 40 years trying to destroy me. There was power in his voice. Not bitterness, Not vengeance alone. Purpose. Anna stood, voice shaking with hope. Ethan, do you want help? He looked at her, his long-lost sister, broken but brave, and nodded. Yes. Because this time, the truth comes out. And we do it together. Ethan drove with a silence so heavy it felt alive. Streetlights flashed across his windshield like flickers of old memories. 6-year-old Ethan standing outside his father's office, waiting for approval that never came. 14-year-old Ethan being blamed for something he didn't do. 21-year-old Ethan watching his father congratulate Anna for graduating while barely looking at him. And now, 48-year-old Ethan, realizing none of it was accidental. None of it was about disappointment. It was about blood. About ownership. About revenge on a child who wasn't his. He clenched the steering wheel. All those years of rejection. All the manipulation. All the stolen years with Alicia. And the banner. This man is not welcome here. He wasn't unwelcome because he was bad. He was unwelcome because he was a reminder of a truth his father couldn't bury. Not anymore. He turned down the long road that led to the estate he grew up in, his father's kingdom. Tonight, it would fall. The man who never expected to see him. When Ethan reached the mansion, 2 security guards stepped forward. Sir, the master isn't seeing anyone. Ethan didn't slow. One of the guards blocked him. You'll have to leave unless you're expected. Ethan stared him down, voice calm but cold. Tell him his mistake is here. The guard hesitated. Something in Ethan's tone carried weight. After a few seconds, he pressed a button. A crackling voice came through the radio. Let him in. The gates opened. Ethan walked through the familiar courtyard, the same stone path where he once rode his first bicycle, the same fountain his father renovated every 5 years, the same walls that held secrets like dampness. Inside the mansion, the lights were dim. At the far end of the living room, sitting like a king on a worn leather chair, was the man himself. Richard Hale. Gray-haired. Sharp-eyed. Still wearing the same expression of superiority he had worn Ethan's entire life. Richard looked up, lips curling into a smirk. Well, if it isn't the wedding guest of the year. Ethan didn't speak. Richard stood slowly, hands behind his back, posture stiff as ever. You must be embarrassed, Ethan. Though I suppose humiliation is something you're familiar with by now. Ethan stepped forward. I know the truth. Richard's smirk faded. What truth are you talking about? Ethan didn't blink. You're not my father. Richard's jaw tightened, the smallest reaction, but enough. Who told you? Anna, Ethan said. And Mom filled in the rest. Richard's eyes darkened. That woman, always too emotional for her own good. Ethan's fist clenched, but he kept still. Your lies destroyed this family, Ethan said quietly. You drove Anna away. You poisoned Alicia. You turned my own daughter against me. You humiliated me in front of hundreds of people. Richard shrugged. You were never meant to be part of this family. Not fully. You were someone else's mistake, dropped in my house. Ethan's breath hitched, the cruelty still cut. But Richard wasn't finished. And I did what any man would do. I protected what was mine. The confession that changed everything. Ethan stepped closer. You didn't protect anything. You ruined everything. Richard laughed lightly. You think Alicia would be anywhere in life if I hadn't stepped in? You think she'd have the wedding she has? The life she has? You think your little fatherly presence would have done anything? He leaned forward, voice dropping. I saved that girl from you. Ethan's chest tightened. You took her from me. No, Richard said. I showed her what you really are. Weak. Pitiful. Unworthy. Ethan's jaw tightened. You brainwashed her. Richard shrugged again. Call it whatever you want. All I did was tell her the truth. Then Richard said something so venomous it cut the room in half. You were never meant to be welcomed at that wedding. The banner was poetic. A simple reminder that you don't belong where my blood is celebrated. Ethan exhaled shakily, but his voice remained steady. You know what's sad, Richard? Richard lifted his chin. That after everything, you're the weakest man in this family. Richard's eyes narrowed. What did you just say? You spent your whole life trying to destroy a child who wasn't even fighting you. And even now, with all your money, all your power, all your threats, you're alone. Anna left you. Mom left you. And Alicia. Ethan paused. Alicia only listens to you because she's afraid of you. For the first time, Richard's mask cracked. Ethan stepped closer. You're not powerful. You're not respected. You're not feared. You're just a scared old man terrified of being forgotten. Richard slammed his cane against the floor. You came into my house to insult me? No, Ethan said. I came to end this. Richard scoffed. And how will you do that, Ethan? You don't have money. You don't have influence. You don't have your daughter. You have nothing. Ethan's lips lifted into a calm, cold smile. You're wrong. He pulled out a small envelope and dropped it on the table between them. Richard frowned. What is that? The truth, Ethan said. And proof that everything you've done, including what you did to Anna, is going to come out. Richard snatched the envelope and opened it. Inside were two things. A legally signed affidavit from Anna. A DNA test, confirming Richard and Ethan shared 0% paternal match. Richard's face strained of color. Ethan spoke softly. This time, the truth won't be hidden in this house. It's going to the lawyers. It's going to the family foundation. It's going to Alicia. Richard's voice cracked. You wouldn't tell her. Ethan didn't blink. I'm not destroying her life. I'm freeing it. Richard staggered back into his chair, breath shaking. For the first time in Ethan's life, the man looked fragile. Small. Exposed. Overpowered. The moment that turned everything. Richard whispered. Ethan, please. Don't tell her. If she knows the truth, she'll hate me. Ethan stared. You should have thought of that before you used her. Richard lifted his head, desperation replacing arrogance. She's the only one who still visits. The only one who calls. If she knows, I'll lose her. Ethan felt something deep inside him shift. After decades, the man finally felt fear. But Ethan didn't soften. You lost your family long before tonight. Richard looked down. Then what do you want from me? Ethan inhaled deeply. I want you to tell Alicia the truth yourself. Richard's eyes widened in horror. No. Yes, Ethan said. You tell her everything. Why you hated me. Why you lied to her. Why you turned her against me. Why you made that banner. Richard shook his head. She'll never forgive me. Ethan stepped closer, calm as stone. That's not my problem. Richard swallowed. And if I refuse? Ethan turned toward the door. Then the world learns who you really are. The room went silent. Richard knew Ethan meant it. And for the first time in nearly 50 years, Ethan walked out of that mansion with power in his step. Not because he had destroyed Richard, but because he no longer needed his approval. The call that shook the wedding night. Ethan drove back into the quiet city, his mind racing but focused. He wasn't heading home. He wasn't going to sleep. He was going to find Alicia. He parked in front of the Grand Hotel where Alicia and her wedding guests were staying. Lights glowed from the ballroom. The after-party was still going, but quieter now, calmer. The kind of atmosphere where painful conversations could erupt with no warning. He hadn't taken 3 steps toward the entrance when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. A voice he knew instantly. Dad? Alicia. Except she didn't sound angry. Or cold. Or judgmental. She sounded shaken. Broken. Dad, can we talk? Ethan froze in place. Alicia? Her voice trembled. I just left Grandpa's house. He called me. He said you were there. He said you know. Ethan stayed silent, letting her continue. He sounded terrified. I've never heard him like that. He begged me to come home. He said everything was a misunderstanding. He said you're trying to ruin the family. She took a shaky breath. But Dad, I saw his face. He wasn't protecting me. He wasn't angry at you. He was scared of you. Ethan closed his eyes. For the first time in 20 years, she wasn't defending her grandfather. Alicia swallowed. Dad, I need to see you. Right now. Ethan took a slow breath, steady and calm. Where are you? She whispered. I'm outside the hotel. By the back entrance. The daughter who no longer knew what to believe. Alicia was sitting on a bench, heels in her hand, wedding dress loosened at the back, hair falling in soft waves. The image of a woman who spent her big day holding a truth too heavy for her heart. She stood when she saw him. No anger. No disgust. No shame. Just confusion and fear. Dad? Ethan walked closer but didn't touch her. Alicia. Her lips quivered. Was he telling the truth? Ethan didn't answer with excuses or manipulation. He answered simply. Yes. A single tear slipped down her cheek. Why didn't you ever tell me you weren't his son? Ethan looked at her, voice gentle. Because I didn't know. Alicia blinked. What? He nodded. I found out today. Just like you. She stared at him with eyes wide open, the betrayal slicing through generations now landing directly in her chest. So everything he told me, everything he said about you, all those warnings, all those stories. Ethan breathed deeply. They were lies to protect himself. Not you. Alicia sank back onto the bench, covering her face. Oh my God! I believed him. I believed everything. Dad, I thought you didn't want to be in my life. I thought you left me. He said you didn't care. Ethan crouched down beside her. Alicia, I never left you. I never stopped loving you. I never missed a single birthday on purpose. I never walked away from you. Every distance between us was created by someone who wanted you to hate me. Alicia sobbed quietly. Why would he do that? Why would he make me hate my own father? Ethan swallowed the ache in his throat. Because he hated the fact that I wasn't his. And he hated the fact that you loved me anyway. Alicia covered her mouth, crying harder now. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. I'm so sorry I believed him. I'm so sorry for that banner. Ethan shook his head gently. That banner wasn't your idea. Alicia looked up, eyes red. How did you know? Because that humiliation was planned by a man who needed to bury the truth before the truth buried him. Alicia nodded slowly. It wasn't my idea, but I didn't stop it either. Grandpa told me it was necessary. To protect the family image. To protect my future husband. Her voice faltered. And I let him convince me. Ethan touched her hand. Only a light touch, nothing forceful. Alicia, you were manipulated your whole life. I blame him. Not you. Her lips trembled. But I hurt you. I hurt you so badly, and you didn't deserve it. Ethan's voice cracked for the first time. Alicia. I just wanted to be your father. Alicia suddenly stiffened. Oh no, he's coming. Ethan turned. Walking toward them was Lucas, the groom. Tall, polished, calculating. The kind of man who smiled with his mouth, never with his eyes. Lucas stopped a few feet away. Alicia, what are you doing out here? We need to get back inside. People are asking questions. Alicia stood slowly. I'm talking to my father. Lucas's jaw tightened, not in fear, but in annoyance. The type of annoyance a man gets when his plans are being inconvenienced. Ethan studied him carefully. Lucas's smile sharpened. Mr. Hale. Ethan cut him off. I'm not a Hale. Lucas's smile flickered. Alicia whispered. Lucas, he's not Grandpa's son. They lied to us. Lucas's expression didn't shift much, no surprise, no shock. Just calculation. And that told Ethan something. Lucas already knew. Lucas took Alicia by the arm gently but firmly. Sweetheart, your grandfather did what he had to do. He was protecting us. Protecting our future. Alicia pulled her hand back, brows furrowing. Protecting us from what? My own father? Lucas exhaled, annoyed at her questioning. From drama. From scandals. From anything that could hurt our reputation. Ethan's eyes narrowed. He knew that tone. He knew that mentality. Lucas wasn't marrying Alicia out of love. Lucas was marrying her for power. For the Hale legacy. For the wealth. And Ethan saw something else, something even darker, in Lucas's eyes. He didn't care about Alicia's pain. He cared about maintaining control over her. Just like Richard. Ethan took a step closer. Let me guess, Ethan said quietly. My presence at the wedding was inconvenient. Lucas stiffened. We just didn't want unnecessary drama. Ethan smirked. I think you and Richard had more in common than Alicia realized. Alicia looked at Lucas sharply. What does he mean? Lucas's silence was too long. Ethan decided for him. Lucas knew the truth long before you did. Alicia paled. Lucas, is that true? Lucas clenched his jaw. Alicia, listen. Answer me. Lucas snapped. Yes. I knew. Alicia staggered backward, shaking. You knew Grandpa lied? You knew my father wasn't a criminal or a disgrace? You knew he was innocent, and you still let that banner drop at my wedding? Lucas raised his voice. It was for your own good. Ethan stepped forward, voice calm but ice cold. No. It was for your ambition. Lucas glared. You don't know anything about me. Oh, I know everything, Ethan replied. You needed Alicia isolated from her real family so you could control the Hale name through her. Alicia gasped. Lucas, is that true? Lucas didn't answer. Which was answer enough. Alicia sobbed. You used me. You and Grandpa, you used me. Lucas grabbed her arm again. Alicia, calm down. You're overreacting. Ethan stepped in front of them. She's not overreacting. She's waking up. Lucas glared at him. This is none of your business. Ethan's expression didn't change. She's my daughter. Everything about her is my business. Alicia stared at Lucas, tears pouring now. Let go of me. Lucas tightened his grip. Alicia! Let go! Her scream echoed across the quiet parking lot. Lucas finally released her. Alicia backed away, trembling, staring at the man she nearly married. Her voice was soft but final. The wedding is over. Lucas blinked. What? Alicia whispered. I'm done. And you, she added, looking at Ethan with a breaking but hopeful voice, are coming with me. We need to talk. Everything. No more lies. Ethan exhaled slowly, the weight of 20 years melting off his shoulders. Anything you want. Alicia turned away from Lucas, gripping her father's hand. Lucas stood frozen, realizing his entire future just slipped through his fingers. The manipulation. The alliance with Richard. The lies. All undone. Because the truth had finally come out. And Ethan, for the first time in decades, had his daughter back. Alicia didn't want to speak in the hotel. Or outside. Or near her wedding guests. She wanted to go somewhere neutral, somewhere quiet. So, she chose the last place Ethan expected. The old Riverside Park. The same park where he used to push her on the swings when she was little. The same place where she once scraped her knee and he carried her all the way home. The same place where, years later, Richard told her Ethan abandoned them. Tonight she walked those same paths with a trembling grip on Ethan's hand. She sat on a bench under a dim lamppost, pulling her knees close like she used to as a child. For a moment neither spoke. The only sound was the river pushing softly against the rocks below. Finally Alicia whispered, Dad, what did I miss? All these years, what didn't I see? Ethan sat beside her, exhaling. You saw what you were allowed to see. Alicia looked at him, not with anger, but with a heartbreaking kind of innocence. I feel stupid. Ethan shook his head. You weren't stupid. You were targeted. She swallowed hard. I believed Grandpa loved me. I believed Lucas loved me. I believed all the wrong people. Ethan glared softly at the ground. You weren't the only one they fooled. Alicia turned toward him. Tell me everything. I'm ready now. So Ethan did. The unraveling of 20 years. He told her about the day her mother confessed. The DNA test. The years of subtle rejection. The nights Richard refused to speak to him at the dinner table. The way Richard shifted decisions to favor Anna. The silent punishments. The false narratives. The whispered lies behind closed doors. Alicia covered her mouth as each truth hit her like a blow. He said you cheated, she whispered. He said you drank. He said you gambled. He said you stole money. He said you abandoned Mom emotionally. He said you screamed at him. He said you were unstable. Ethan shook his head, pain flickering across his face. He said whatever he had to say to turn you against me. Alicia sobbed. I defended him. Every time. I pushed you away, every year. And you still tried. Birthdays. Graduation. Even when I didn't call back, you still sent cards. Why didn't you stop? Ethan's voice cracked. Because you were my daughter. And even if you believed lies about me, I never stopped loving you. Alicia leaned her head on his shoulder, crying harder than she had at her wedding. I don't deserve you. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Ethan wrapped an arm around her delicately. No. You don't deserve what they did to you. The decision that changed everything. Alicia suddenly sat up straight, wiping her wet cheeks. I need to talk to him. Ethan frowned. Who? Grandpa. Ethan shook his head. Alicia, you've already been through too much today. She stood, trembling but determined. No. He doesn't get to manipulate me anymore. He doesn't get to hide. He doesn't get to pretend. I want him to look me in the eyes and explain what he did to you, and to me. Her voice tightened. I want him to say it to my face. And before Ethan could protest, she grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the car. This time, Ethan didn't argue. Some wounds only close when confronted. The return to the house of lies. The estate was quiet when they arrived, too quiet. Lights burned in the hallway windows. A shadow moved behind the curtains. Alicia walked up the steps first, barefoot, still in her loosened wedding gown, hair tangled, makeup streaked with tears. Not a bride. Not a princess. Not a hale heir. Just a daughter seeking truth. She pushed the door open. Grandpa! Her voice echoed. Richard appeared at the top of the stairs, shaken, sweating, gripping the banister like the house was tilting beneath him. Alicia, sweetheart, please. I can explain. She cut him off, voice sharp and shaking. Don't you dare call me sweetheart. Richard froze. Alicia stepped closer. You lied to me. For years. You poisoned me against my father. Richard swallowed. I was protecting you. From what? She screamed. Richard's jaw tightened. That man is not your real family. Alicia pointed at Ethan. That man raised me. That man taught me right from wrong. That man held me when I cried. That man supported every dream I ever had. That man showed up for me even when I pushed him away. She took a step toward Richard. You tell me now, Grandpa, what did you do that was so noble? What exactly did you protect me from? Richard's voice cracked defensively. The truth. A truth that would have destroyed this family. Alicia let out a dark, hollow laugh. You destroyed this family. Not him. Richard shot a glare at Ethan. You turned her against me. Ethan shook his head. She turned away from you because she finally saw the truth. Richard pointed a trembling finger at Ethan. You're nothing. You don't belong here. Alicia stepped in front of Ethan. He belongs wherever I am. Richard stared at her, stunned. You can't mean that. I do. Richard's breath hitched. Alicia, if you walk away from me, you're leaving everything behind. The estate, the company, the inheritance. Alicia cut him off sharply. Then burn it. I don't want a single dollar that was used to punish my father. Richard's face went pale. Alicia, don't do this, she whispered. You did this. The final piercing truth. Alicia looked him dead in the eyes. And that banner? That sick message you dropped over my wedding? Whose idea was it? Richard stiffened. Alicia's voice sharpened. Tell me. Now. Richard's eyes flickered. It was necessary. Who planned it? Richard's voice broke. Lucas and I, together. Alicia staggered backward. Ethan grabbed her arm, steadying her. You two worked together to humiliate my father? On the most important day of my life? Richard offered a desperate step forward. Alicia! She screamed. Don't touch me! Her entire world cracked open. Everything she thought she knew. Every memory she had. Every belief she carried. It all shattered. The breakdown of a tyrant. Richard sank onto the staircase, trembling, breath uneven. Alicia, please, you're all I have. Alicia stared at him with a heartbreak that was almost physical. No. I'm not. Richard's voice trembled with panic. You can't do this. You can't leave. You're my legacy. You're a Hale. Alicia shook her head slowly. No, Grandpa. I am my father's daughter. She reached for Ethan's hand. Let's go. They turned toward the door. Richard's voice cracked into a desperate scream. Alicia! If you leave, you're dead to this family. Alicia didn't even look back. I'd rather be dead to your family than dead inside it. The door that closed 20 years of pain. Alicia stepped outside, barefoot on the cold marble. Ethan followed. They walked down the steps, hand in hand. And for the first time in decades, Richard Hale had no power, no control, no audience, no legacy, no leverage. He sat trembling on the staircase, watching the only person who ever loved him walk out the door, following the man he tried to bury. The last toast. The reception hall fell silent. Every eye had shifted from the glowing chandeliers to the glowing screen behind me. The screen where Denise's voice quivered as she confessed the truth. The screen where a teenage version of my daughter, Emily, tried to warn me from a hospital bed. The screen where the life I lost and the life I fought to rebuild collided in plain sight. And now the screen was dark. Just like the silence in the room. The only light left was the soft, trembling gleam from the candles on the head table. I stepped forward and took a breath. For the first time in many years, no shame rose in my throat. No regret weighed down my shoulders. No fear lingered in my lungs. I felt whole. Something I hadn't felt since before a certain banner dropped at the start of this nightmare. I raised my glass, only half full, but heavy with meaning. My voice carried through the stillness. I want to give one last toast. You could hear a pin drop. Even the whispering old aunties, even the drunk uncles, even the friends who had spent years choosing sides. They all froze. Emily clutched Lucas's hand, tears flooding her smile. The poor groom's jaw was still hanging open. He glanced at Emily, then at me, like he suddenly understood exactly who she came from. I turned slowly, letting my gaze sweep across the room. My ex-wife, Denise, had sunk into her chair, head in her hands. Her shoulders trembled. Her husband, her new husband, stood rigid beside her, staring at the screen like it had personally stabbed him. Evelyn, once so proud and so certain of her righteousness, couldn't even lift her head to meet my eyes. Good. Let her look at the floor for once. Let her see how it feels when the world turns away. My voice rose, not angry, not bitter, but steady. Years ago, I suffered alone. But today, I learned I was never alone. The truth may take time, but it never loses its way. It always arrives, right on time. A few people murmured agreement. Others nodded. A few even looked ashamed. I lifted my glass slightly higher. To my daughter, who has fought harder for love than anyone I know. And to Lucas, who proves that a good man can walk into your life when you least expect it. Lucas wiped his eyes, literally wiped them. He wasn't even embarrassed. He mouthed, "Thank you, sir." Emily was full on crying now. Her veil trembled with each tear. But for the first time, these tears were pure relief. Not guilt. Not conflict. Not the weight of choosing between two parents. Just freedom. To the future, I continued. A future where no one else controls your story. A future built on truth. A future built on strength. A future built on the courage to walk away from those who use love as a weapon, and walk toward those who offer it freely. I let the words breathe. Let them sink. And then I finished. To new beginnings, and to the end of fear. I raised my glass high. Emily lifted hers. Lucas lifted his. Then, row by row, every single person in the hall slowly, quietly, lifted theirs too. Even the ones who used to whisper behind my back. Even the ones who once called me dramatic. Even the ones who believed the lies. The entire room toasted with me, not against me. And that was all the revenge I ever needed. As soon as the toast ended, applause broke out, loud, raw, overwhelming. People approached me in small groups. Some apologized. Some admitted they'd always had doubts. Some said they'd been manipulated themselves. A few simply said, "You deserve better." They were right. I did. Emily ran into my arms. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Dad, thank you for fighting for me." I kissed the top of her head. "Always." Lucas hugged me next, not a polite hug but a full, grateful, real one. "Sir," he said, "I promise you, she'll never face anything alone again." I believed him. He had earned that belief. Across the room, I saw Evelyn standing alone, her mascara smeared, her pride cracked into pieces. She didn't look at me. And I didn't go to her. She had built a world where I was the villain. Let her live in it now. Denise approached only once everyone else had drifted away. Her shoulders sagged, and her eyes were swollen. I'm sorry, Michael." It wasn't enough. But it was more than I expected. "You don't have to be sorry," I said calmly. "But you do have to live with what you chose." She nodded, understanding the difference. Then she walked away. Not angrily. Not defiantly. Just quietly. Finally acknowledging her own reflection. The final moments. The DJ switched the music back on. Guests poured onto the dance floor. Laughter filled the hall again, but this time, it wasn't tainted by hidden truths. Emily and Lucas danced their first dance. I watched from my table, warm and settled with a peace I hadn't felt in decades. Then Emily waved me over. She took my hand. "Daddy, dance with me." My throat tightened. In front of everyone. I stepped onto that dance floor. For a moment, it felt like time rewound. My daughter, my baby girl, rested her head against my chest. And for the first time since the banner dropped, I no longer felt out of place. I felt like a father again. The father I always was. The father I always tried to be. The father no lie could erase. In the end, revenge didn't come from anger. It came from truth. It came from healing. And sometimes, the most powerful revenge is simply becoming the person they said you could never be.